Hello there. One moment. Just a sec. Need some hot water. And one last thing. Now we're good to go. Was that all even needed? I mean, does it even help? Maybe. But we gotta do it because precaution, right? Though the question we have for today is, should a pandemic affect us? I mean, it's a bad situation. But does it have to affect us emotionally? We are going to look at that today, purely through scripture, which is a portion from Acts 27 and a little bit from Acts 28. For those who do not know this passage, here's a brief overview. Paul wants to go to Rome. He gets on a ship to go there. He gets shipwrecked, then eventually gets to Rome, and then becomes a mighty gladiator. No. Ignore that last part. He doesn't become a gladiator, but he does do something even more awesome. Now that you've got that, let's start at Acts 27, verse 1. When it was decided that we were to sail for Italy, they transferred Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius. See, Paul was going to go to Rome. It was his plan that he would go there. It was also God's purpose for him to go there. So, it was the will of God that he would go to Rome. But Paul didn't know how he was going to get there, that he would have to go there as a prisoner. That being the first point. You may know what God's will is for you, the purpose that he has for you, but you do not know how he's going to take you to it. Let's continue. They got on a ship and they set sail. Fast forward to verse 4. Putting out to sea from there, we sailed under the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us. That's my point number 2. He has started his journey towards his purpose. But what does it say? The winds were against us. We all had our plans. We were all on our way somewhere. Then boom, 2020 happened. Boom, coronavirus hit. And suddenly all our plans, the winds were against us. Fast forward to verse 7 and 8. We sailed slowly for a number of days and arrived with difficulty off Cnidus. And as the wind was against us, we sailed under the lee of Crete off Samon. Sailing past it with difficulty, we came to a place called Fair Havens, near the city of Lycia. You see the words difficulty mentioned? First, winds were against us. Winds being against us meaning making it hard for us to move forward. When this virus hit, it became hard for us to move forward. Everything was changing. Then things started to get difficult. Lockdown after lockdown, jobs lost, prisoned at home, couldn't see family, things got difficult. But it didn't end there. Verse 9. Since much time had been lost and sailing was now dangerous. I just want to focus on this. Much time had been lost. We feel our days, months, all being wasted in this pandemic. A long amount of time. And it says sailing was now dangerous. Things have gotten so dangerous, we cannot step outside. Fear seems to be ruling the world. Sailing was now dangerous. Getting to our purpose now is dangerous. And there's more. Fast forward down to verse 14. But soon a violent wind, called the northeaster, rushed down from Crete. Since the ship was caught and could not be turned head-on into the wind, we gave way to it and were driven. Northeaster, you can Google that. It's a really strong wind, like a storm. So strong that it could not be turned head-on into wind, that they gave way to it and were driven. Doesn't it feel like that? Months and months pass and no one has an idea when this will end. We have given way to it and now we are driven. We have just given up. Sad part is, some have given up spiritually. The wind keeps on blowing, getting worse. seems to be no more hope. We have lost control. Verse 18 and 19. We were being pounded by the storm so violently that on the next day they began to throw the cargo overboard. Verse 19. And on the third day, with their own hands, they threw the ship's tackle overboard. One thing to note here, Paul wasn't exempted from all of this. He too was pounded by the storm. Some of us say, God, I'm so loyal to you. I'm so obedient to you. Then why are you allowing this pandemic to be in my life too? Paul wasn't exempt from it. It was his journey too. We cannot be exempt from it because it's our journey too. It says they began to throw the cargo overboard. They threw the ship's tackle overboard. In our lives through this pandemic, there will be things that we have to toss overboard. In order to make it through, we will have to throw things that isn't meant for our destination. When you reach your purpose, He doesn't want you to carry your cargo of being addicted, being greedy, being a workaholic, being without your family, being without God. You need to toss all of that overboard. That is why I feel this ship is taking so long to reach its destination, because some people are just not willing to throw the cargo overboard. Verse 20. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest raged, all hope of our being saved was at last abandoned. Why was all hope of our being saved at last abandoned? Imagine no sun, no stars, darkness. Have you ever felt like you are in the state of darkness and ask God, God, where are you? I don't know what's going on. My finances are down the drain. I'm losing my mind being locked up. I can't even go and see the people that I love. I just do not know what to do anymore. Alright, enough. Calvin, how much bad news are you going to give us? I'm sorry, but I was just trying to draw a parallel between scripture and reality. It's the truth, but the truth will set you free. So now let's get to the part where we are set free. Verse 22, Paul says, I urge you now to keep your courage, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. Oh boy, doesn't that feel good? Paul is giving us confirmation that we are going to make it to our purpose. We are going to live through this, and we are going to get there. But the ship has to be lost. What do you mean? What I mean is this. Sometimes we are on the wrong vessel, which is not meant to take us to our destination. Hence, it has to be lost. That is why when something along the journey is lost, keep your courage. For God is still taking you to your purpose. The ship isn't the place that is meant to take you there. Jesus is. Jesus is always going to be there with you. Jesus is always going to take you there. And if you see through the rest of scripture, you can read it later. What we see is they get shipwrecked on an island called Malta. But hey, wait a minute. Wasn't God supposed to take Paul to Rome? Wasn't that his purpose? See, sometimes we do not realize that when God said that He would take him to Rome, but He had a slight detour in Malta, that doesn't mean God had failed His purpose for him. On the contrary, He had a purpose for him in Malta too. Because as we see later, Paul does get to Rome, but not before God uses him to heal the people of Malta. Not only that, I did some research on this after I read the scripture. Malta became Christian after Paul had been there. A whole country is Christian today because of a shipwreck. Likewise, the shipwreck in your life, the detours in your life, isn't without purpose. God is always working in you and through you, even if you just don't seem to see it. This is a really cool part. When he was done with Malta, in Acts 28:10, we see they bestowed many honors on him, and when we were about to sail, they put on board all the provisions we needed. Everything that they had lost, they were restored. Anything that the enemy takes from you, God will give you more. We have just one P for today, and that's pandemic. Ha! No way. Scratch that. No pandemic. It's purpose. Paul did not have an issue with being on Malta because he trusted God. He knew God would take him to his purpose. Do not regret being shipwrecked or on an island right now, because God is working his purpose in your life and he will take you to your destination. He did take Paul to Rome, where there was revival, and today we know, love, and serve Jesus because of his faith in God to get him there. God has a purpose for you. Focus on that purpose, believe it, and live like it, like Paul did. Be thankful that you're alive and you are still on course to your purpose. Just remember, when you're on your Malta, wherever you are, God is working something glorious in you, even if you do not see it. Stay faithful, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace. What a guy! Time to go out, face my purpose.